Hey, Tommy. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic. Thanks for inviting me.
Beautiful, beautiful. And just like I mentioned earlier, thank you so very much for being here. You see, I truly appreciate it. And oftentimes, Tommy, I love to thank my guest for two main things. And I do this so often because I feel like it is important. So, firstly, Tommy, I want to say thank you for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you invested in yourself. And oftentimes, too, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. I say, Tommy, some months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, there was this tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, Tommy, just recently I was on that same road, and this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree. The mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance, and immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did, and it wowed me. Because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches, and it looks so beautiful. That day was a very special moment. I was just smiling in excitement. Here is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Tommy that you are today, that alone has made it really impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you see you got the request from me to be on the show, because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're doing, your insight, your work, your philosophies, the impact your work is having. It's amazing. And I said to myself before I sent you that request, I said, I've got to benefit from all of those beautiful things that Tommy is doing. And not only me now, even the audience. And here we are today with the amazing Tommy. Thank you so very much for investing in yourself. And secondly, Tommy, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing I could do about it. Thank you so very much. So, yeah, let's get started. You see, I'm quite excited to have you on the show today, Tommy, for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information, not just knowledge, but the application of it. And you see, Tommy, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness means ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. The second reason why I'm excited to have the amazing Tommy on the show is for the sake of the listeners. You see, Tommy, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, high-opening, and very important information, of which I'm totally convinced that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, Tommy, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or professional journey. Right now, we are so curious. We want to know how Tommy got here. Then afterwards, I've got some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Tommy, over to you. Okay, can you hear me?
I just heard you there.
Okay. I said now let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or
Okay.
professional journey. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, now over to you, Tommy.
I heard that you wanted to hear my story, so I'll start with. Um, well, basically, I'm an author. I've been writing lots of books, and that's where when you mention the word ignorance, I think right away of the word ignorant is an act of ignoring, and knowledge is actually from can or able. And I think of Cain and Abel to remind me of the two words that knowledge means. And can actually is from carne, which means like muscle. So if you have knowledge, you'd be able to do it physically. And able is actually capable. So it's something like you can mentally figure it out is knowledge. And knowledge requires memory. If you don't have a memory, then you won't be able to retain the knowledge. When you are able to connect the dots, as I say, some logic, then you'd able to apply that knowledge to having some intelligence. So intelligence is being able to figure things out. And then the application of the knowledge, the memories, and the intelligence is the wisdom. And that's like a domain, a dome of the wise. So that's where I kind of start off always defining as we go. And that's what I found in life is if we don't have an agreement on the definitions, how can we communicate? So that's what I always first do with people is I confirm that we have some agreements, and then later we can disagree. And that's what the whole point is a conversation is to have a disagreement so I can learn from you and you can learn from me. So that's been my journey of the truth. And the truth is when you and I both agree it's true.
Amazing. That's a great one. That's a great one. Okay, so, but I'm still a bit curious. Can you give us like some background? Like, how did you get here? How
Sure.
was the journey like? Yeah,
Well, let's see. If I start with one thing, I had met a lady that I was quite interested in becoming my wife. And so at the time I had a kind of a low paying job and wasn't really secure. So I said, if I own my own company, and she said, oh yeah, that would be stable. And so I ended up writing a book about reflexology and then teaching people how to massage the hands and the feet to relieve pain of the body. And then that led me into about a 20-year career of teaching all across the country and throughout the world. I've been in Australia, New Zealand, and all different countries around the world teaching reflexology. And then uh, we opened up a clinic to relieve people's pain. And then also a friend of mine gave me a charity, and that's where I was able to help people with their credit card debt. And because of my training and background as being an accountant, I figured out that the credit card debt really wasn't a debt, and I was able to help people eliminate their credit card debt. So it's been very entertaining. Then I took a little break and lived on a farm and basically off grid and in poverty. And it was a humbling experience, which I relished and actually looked forward to. And now I live in the Philippines. And when I go into someone's house that has no running water, no heat, well, it's just hot enough already, but no air con, and there's no electricity, I'm just fine. I've lived that way. I've lived actually more poor than they have. So it's a great experience to have living both sides.
amazing. And thank you for sharing that with us. So you mentioned helping folks with their credit card debt. Okay, so let's say someone who's got this issue with credit card debt ask you a question like, how do I nuke my credit card debt? What would your response be?
Yes, that's always a good thing to start with. And law is language. So if you say you've got a debt, you've got a debt. You agree. But what if it's alleged? Well, now we've seen the bank robber from the TV news, and the news says it's an alleged bank robber. Well, if you start off with the word alleged, then you could say, how do I nuke my alleged credit card debt? But there's only one problem to that. And the problem is it legitimate or is it fraudulent? So let me tell you about a real credit card debt. Think of a store or a business that you might go to and you don't have enough money that day, but they say, we'll sell you the tires and we'll put the tires on your car. Just pay us later. And that's giving you credit. And they might even have like a credit card that you can apply for and they approve it. Well, there you go. So they get money later and you get the tires and on your car today. So you both benefit. So at the end of the month, you get a statement and you got to pay it. But then, um, how can you tell if it's a legitimate credit card or it's a fake one? So all you need to do is look in the back of your credit card, which would be like Amazon or Walmart or some major company. And if it says Bank of America, Citibank, Wells Fargo, then it's actually a fraudulent credit card. And that's how simple you can do that. Because and so that's where the you can determine whether it's a legitimate credit card or it's a fake one. And so now all you have to do is determine that it's a bank issued credit card, and that's the one that is not a debt because they didn't put the tires on your car, they didn't do the service, and they don't have an invoice. So all you got to do is ask the bank for an invoice, and they don't have one.
Wow, that's very, very insightful. And just like I mentioned earlier, knowledge is light. You see, any aspect of your life where you are ignorant, you are at the mercy of that ignorance. Wow. Not many people knows this truth, and thank you for sharing that with us. So let us talk about still on this credit card thing. Is a credit card
Mm-hmm.
a revolving line of credit or a loan?
Right. You see, that's what they're going to say is that then before we move on, we have to agree that the bank could never, if you question the invoice, they don't have a outstanding unpaid invoice for you to pay. So now you say it's a loan. Oh, okay. Well, by doing a little research, you'll find out that banks don't lend money. What they do is they have you sign a promissory note. And then once you sign a promissory note, they then write numbers into your checking account. And that's how you get the cash. But they just make the numbers up out of thin air. But the banks also cannot um, loan out the money because for the promissory note. So if you don't have a promissory note, you don't have a loan. So there is no loan of the money. So the question is, how can you nuke your bank issued alleged credit card debt? And that's just simply writing a letter to the bank asking them to close your checking account that's associated with your credit card.
That's a smart move. You see, I'm still a bit curious. You said banks do not loan out. Can you talk more on that? I want to understand it very, very well. You
Sure.
mentioned a
Um,
is it promise charge or something? Yeah, can you just talk more on that?
sure. Well, that when you take money, well, think about this here. When you go into a bank and you have no money, and what do you want when you come out? Is obviously the cash and the currency. And how you do that is through a loan. So you think you fill out an application, and if you get accepted, then you get to fill out loan documents. But they also require collateral and all kinds of other things. And the bottom line is you have to sign a promissory note. So the Federal Reserve has put out a manual, and it says right there, obviously, we don't uh, loan out the depositors' money because there's not enough. And the other thing, part of that too, is in an accounting sense, when you take money and put it into your checking account or savings account, it's actually a loan. You are loaning money to the bank and they pay you interest on that loan. So it's considered a liability, and they really can't loan out a liability. They can only loan out an asset, and they don't do that. And there's not enough money to loan out to the $1.3 trillion that they say there's alleged credit card debt. So the bank just has your promise to pay them. Then they just write numbers into a numbered account, and that's associated with you. So for the credit card, what they do is they have to get customers. And by getting customers, what they'll do is they'll offer you back years ago as a toaster. And so you could get a free toaster if you opened up a bank account. Savings bank had offered me, if I came in and offered and put down $25, they would match that in 91 days. So if I kept the account open for 90 days, they would match my deposit. Well, on day 91, my account all of a sudden had $50 in it, and I went and closed the account out. So did I cheat the bank out of $25? No, it was just the cost of doing business.
Wow. Just that awesome, beautiful. Wow. You see, what you just shared now, okay? Some folks would actually pay some amount of money to teach people. But we're getting it for free now. This invaluable insight. Thank you so very much for opening our eyes to these amazing things, Tommy. I tell you, because ignorance will actually cost more. Thank you. Okay, you mentioned your book. What is the title of your book? And how can folks make a purchase, or for those who would like to reach out to you, ask questions, how can that be possible? That's so generous. Thank you so very much, Tommy. That's going to be the end of the show. Thank you for coming, and thank you for opening our eyes to these beautiful stuff. I tell you, I would have to listen to our conversation again and again because I want to process it all. Thank you so much.